Hello and welcome to a video screencast explaining how to make an Excel finance spreadsheet for Year 8 graphics projects. You'll find the written instructions for this task are in your booklet in class, but are also available on our tazmccarthy.com class page under Finance. Step-by-step instructions on how to make an Excel spreadsheet to calculate your budget. First thing you need to do is to open Excel and to start a new workbook. A couple of things that might help you are changing the view to normal and also making sure that borders and shading is showing. The first step in the instructions is to make a spreadsheet heading. All you need to do for that is to click and select a range of cells where your heading's going to be. After that, you'll change the shading color to something that looks a little bit nicer. Once you've done that, come back to the middle cell and type in the title. You might like to make it something like your name, finance spreadsheet. Okay, step 2 is to make column headings. So starting on the left and progressing to the right for each one, but leaving a blank cell in between. Our instructions tell us to start with item, leave a gap, supplier, quantity, which is how many you have, price, and subtotal. Okay, the next step is step 3, which is to make the subtotal formula. There's two things we have to take note of here. The first is the cell underneath quantity, the first blank one underneath, and if you line that up, you'll see that for me it's E5. The other one is the cell underneath price, which is G5. We're going to use these for our sum, E5 and G5. So if we come over to subtotal here, type in our formula here, equals the first one, E5, then times, which in Excel isn't an X, it's an asterisk, which is above the 8 on the keyboard, so Shift 8, and then our second one, which is G5. And then hit enter, it highlights them to show us that we've got the right ones. That should leave a 0 there, which is perfectly normal at this stage. If it gives an error like this, it's just because it's trying to times two things together that don't exist yet. What you need to do is to put your cursor in the bottom right of the field with the 0, and you'll notice that the cursor changes. And you're going to click and drag from there down about 20 or so rows. And it will extend all of those zeros the entire way down. So what we've done so far is to make a formula that times quantity times price. But as all of these are empty, that's why it's showing 0. The next thing we'll do is to go to step 4, the grand total formula. This one is slightly more complicated. There's some things we need to take note of again. The first one is the highest 0, which for me is I5, and also the lowest 0, which for me is I30. So you'll click in the field immediately underneath your last 0 and you'll type in the formula, which is equals the sum, SUM, and then open a curved bracket which is above the 9, so Shift 9, and then you'll come up and type in your top 0, which for me is I5. Next is a colon, which is the key to the right of the L on your keyboard. Shift and then that key should look like 2 dots, and then the last thing to type is our lowest 0, which for me is I30. Close the brackets. Close of the curly brackets is above the 0 on the keyboard, so Shift 0 and then enter. What this is doing is adding up everything above it thus far. If you like, on the cell next to it, you can type in grand total. Okay, what we have here is an empty spreadsheet, but it's all set up for us to do our research and list all of the items in our room. Back on our Taz McCarthy page, you'll notice a link to an online catalog site. You might like to use this or eBay or hard copy junk mail, the catalogs you get in the mail. But for this example, we use this online site, Lasso. What this site does is have electronic versions of all of the catalogs, but it allows us to search through many different catalogs. Up the top here we have categories. I'll go to bedroom furniture. Okay, we might for our first item decide to have this Bridgewater Queen Bread with tile. So we need to write that in back in our spreadsheet under item. Okay, you'll notice that it's a little bit long, but the way this is set up, you can drag and change the sizes without any of the formulas being affected. Our supplier is early setter, which we also enter in. The quantity is likely to be 1. And the price was $6.99. Now as soon as we hit enter here, both our formulas are going to start working for us. The first thing it's done is worked out that 1 times $6.99 is $6.99, and then it's added all of these up, and our grown total so far is $6.99. Another example, we might have a plasma TV from Dick Smith. But we might have 2 of them at $468 each. A little bit more complicated. As soon as we press enter, the same formulas will work everything out for us. 2 times 468 is 936, and then it adds our total together. So what you can do is go through your catalogs, go across eBay, any other websites you like, find all of your items, list them down here, and it will add them up for you. You'll know when you're approaching your $5,000 budget. Remember to keep proof of everything that you have on the list, whether that means cutting out a clipping from junk mail or printing out a page from an online catalog or an eBay ad, or even writing down the website address as proof.